Hello everybody, Totesolive here, back again with our month of Brews, episode 6. Hope everyone's doing amazing. We are playing a deck I call DIno Scoop. This is a deck that is at its heart, a recursion deck, and the idea is that we want people to scoop to our Scourge of Frosthome. Now, to get this done, and the reason this is different from some of the previous recursion decks, is we are trying to leverage one of the new cards from the recent campaign, the Lethrai Skystrider. So the idea behind Lethrai Skystrider is it gives us an effect that we have not had in the game before, which is we will draw a spell from the top 4 cards of our deck and discard everything else. What this does is lets us find the recursion spell while also putting the things we want to recur into the void. This is the first time we've seen this kind of an effect. The downsides are that it is on a very terrible creature, a 2/2 for 4, with a hoop to jump through of the elf ally, which means we have to run other terrible creatures in order to get this to work. The elves that we're running are Lethrai Ranger. You know, this is a aggro staple for Shadow, but not really for combo that we're trying to do, but hey, it's the card we've got. Then we've got the Ashara Ruthless Assassin. This one is actually pretty good for this deck. It helps us out, slows it down, it's a good blocker, decent attacker if the opponent's going slow, so it lets us kind of shift gears into a combat role if we really need to. Then we have the Direwood Beastcaller, an elf that is probably one of the better ones because it hopefully can get in once or twice and give us some 5/5s. And is that the last of our elves? No, I thought we had one more. Let's see, the Lethrai Ranger, Ashara Ruthless Assassin, and Direwood Beastcaller. No, I'm sorry, those are the only elves. So we are running the 12 elves, and then, in order to help us dig through the deck, we are running the Herald songs. Those are in here as extra versions of the Nocturnal Observer that can be found off of a Lethrai Skystrider. So the advantage to Herald song over some of the other draw spells is that if we happen to get the Scourge of Frosthome or the Snowcrush Animist in hand, we can get rid of it with the Herald song, or we can get rid of it with the Nocturnal Observer. Also, the Nocturnal Observer gives us Nightfall, helping us dig deeper into our deck, and we get a couple of hits off of her for being able to loot through our deck. Loot meaning draw a card, discard a card. It's kind of the advantage. That's what we're looking to do. We're also running Devour as a method of digging if we use on our own creatures, or with the Madness combo in order to kill off an opponent creature and dig through our deck. Madness also combos well with the Ashara Ruthless Assassin. We're running In Cold Blood as our removal. This is the only hard removal we have in the deck, but that's just because it's really efficient if we happen to run up against Primal decks, or I'm sorry, Justice decks. And Justice is the most common color, as we've discussed before. And then for Grasping at Shadows and for Haunting Screams as our recursion. The reason we're running Haunting Scream is most of our elves, in fact all of our elves, are screamable, meaning that we can play Haunting Scream, get them back, make some attack, maybe get some value out of them, and then specifically the Lethrai Skystrider is a screamable unit, meaning we can go ahead and pay to put it directly into play, whereas if we ran something like Dark Return, we would get it back, but then we couldn't necessarily play it that turn. So both of our recursion will put things directly onto the battlefield. And then of course 2 Celestial Omen to help us find all the various pieces we need, and then our payoff is 1 Scourge of Frosthome and 1 Snowcrush Animist. So the other thing about this deck versus some of the other recursion decks is this deck can play just kind of a value tempo game against our opponent, using things like Devastating Setback to wipe out a small board, or to get rid of big equipment and spells in our opponent's hand. So that's kind of the deck, and for our power base, we have 2 Primal Sigils, 6 Shadow Sigils, the 4 Cobalt Waystones because, hey, free Aegis is free Aegis if we get it, the 4 Amethyst Waystone because we want to be able to dig through our deck as much as possible, also turn our Nocturnal Observers back on, 4 Crest of Cunning because, you know, we need to get the multiple colors, 4 Feln Banner because we are running a lot of units, and then 1 Seat of Cunning because we're not running a lot of basic sigils. And with that, guys, let's go see if we can get people to scoop to our dinosaur. And here we are with game 1 of DIno Scoop. This is, it's a pretty keepable hand. It's a little bit more aggro. We have the Snowcrush Animist, but we have a lot of ways of getting rid of it, so we're going to go ahead and keep this. We have 8 different cards that will let us throw the Snowcrush Animist into our void, and then of course we can always just play the Snowcrush Animist if that's the thing we want to do. Start with the Shadow Sigil, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent will play a Cobalt Waystone. Opponent will Eileen's Favor. That's fine with us. Primal Sigil hits into their hand. We will play a Cobalt Waystone, play a Lethrai Ranger, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent will draw a card. Opponent will... I wonder if this is just the copy pasta. Opponent will play Seed of Cunning. No, it's not. They're actually playing Seed of Chaos. Opponent will extract our Lethrai Ranger. That's actually fine with us. So we will follow that up with an Amethyst Waystone and a Direwood Beastcaller. See if the opponent can do something about the Beastcaller. And the opponent says they've got a Quarry. Hopefully they don't find a Torch. Or an Annihilate. Opponent plays a Fire Sigil. Opponent so far cannot deal with it. Opponent doesn't seem to be able to deal with it. We will swing in with our Beastcaller. Excellent. We get the 2 beasts. We will play the Crest of Cunning, see what we get off of that. The answer is a devastating setback, which we will absolutely keep. We will drop an Ashara Ruthless Assassin, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws a card. Opponent plays a Shadow Sigil. Opponent plays an In Cold Blood on our... Interesting. Opponent values the Ashara a lot. We're okay with this. We will go ahead and play an Amethyst Waystone, turn on the Knight, swing at our opponent for 11, taking them down to 16, play another Ashara Ruthless Assassin, pass the turn to our opponent. We're getting very close to where we can just play a Snowcrush Animist. Opponent will play a Seed of Chaos. Opponent will Black Iron Manacles us. Okay. I accept your Black Iron Manacles. Opponent will extract, killing our Ashara again. And pass the turn to us. We will play out a Feln banner. We will swing at our opponent for 11 more. And we will pass the turn. We have no reason to hit them with the devastating setback yet. Opponent will play a Primal Sigil. Opponent will In Cold Blood one of our 5/5s. Opponent will pass the turn back. So we will go ahead and play out a Primal Sigil. We will swing at our opponent for 6. Fight. Opponent goes to 1. We will end the turn. We will take 1. We will continue again. We're not going to use the Celestial Omen yet. We're going to use the Celestial Omen on our opponent's turn to find a Haunting Scream. Opponent just gives it up. Here we are with game number 2 with DIno Scoop. This is absolutely not keepable. We will redraw. And this is, well, it's what we've got. We do need to draw at least 1 Primal Sigil. Hopefully we'll get that. Opponent. I'm not sure what the opponent is doing. Opponent is thinking. Opponent is deep in thought. Opponent decides to mulligan. And our Herald song goes off. We echo. And we will play a Shadow Sigil. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent will draw. Opponent will play a Crest of Wisdom and scout to the top. Uh-oh. We get a Feln banner. We will play a Feln banner. We will pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent will draw a card. Opponent will play Crest of Vengeance and scout to the top again. Uh-oh. Still uh-oh. Not good times for us. We will play a Shadow Sigil. We will play a Direwood Beastcaller. We will pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws a card. Opponent plays a Crest of Fury and scouts to the top again. All the top scouts. Opponent will play a Torch. Sad times for the good guys. We draw an Amethyst Waystone. We will play an Amethyst Waystone. We will play a Herald song. See what we draw. Grasping its Shadows. Let's go ahead and discard a Primal Sigil and pass the turn to our opponent. I don't want to use the Herald song yet because we do kind of need to draw some more sigils, and we'll have more card draws next turn. Opponent plays a Crown. I guess this is a Nykthos Crown? Or Nyctotraxian? Yeah, Nyctotraxian Crown. Nycto Crown deck. Opponent plays a Crest of Impulse. Scouts to the top. Uh-oh. All the scoutings to where we don't want them. We will play out an Amethyst Waystone. We will... Let's go ahead and play the... Let's play the Lethrai Ranger. And why not? Herald Song, see what we get. We'll throw something away, because something in our hand is not going to be that good. Oh, we got another In Cold Blood. Let's go ahead and let's dump the In Cold Blood. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws 2, takes 1. So we're to the point now where we just want to dig for our removal, or dig for our payoff card. Opponent will quarry. Man, if we get this, if we manage to get it. Now, they could luck sack into a stack of Deadly Killer, which would be unfortunate for us, but hey, it happens. Opponent will... What did they get rid of with the quarry? They got rid of a Shadow Sigil. Okay, so nothing. Okay, opponent doing more scouting. Scouts to the top. Opponent, second sights. Draws 2, throws 1 back. What did they draw? They scouted something to the top. They're doing a lot of top scouts. Lots of the top scouts. And they will put back, deep in thought. These are hard decisions for our opponent. Opponent will put back a card. And torch our ranger. Man, they are getting super lucky with those torches. Well, we got another Herald song. Let's go ahead and see if we can find anything. Ah, there's the Haunting Scream. Excellent. Now, we do need a Sigil, unfortunately, but let's see if we can find it. Let's go ahead and Herald song. We did find the Crest of Cunning, so we'll get rid of the other Herald song. Well, Crest of Cunning, this is going to allow us to, we do not need the Shadow Sigil. Pass that down. Pass the turn to our opponent. Now, this is going to allow us to bring in the Beastcaller and get the Lethrai Skystrider effect off. So that's going to be good for us. Opponent second sights again. Opponent puts card back on top because that's what second sight does. Opponent twinning ritual something in their hand. I haven't seen any echo though. No, they must have echo because they just have it there. We didn't see the echo. That's bad on me, I guess. So we will Haunting Scream back a Direwood Beastcaller. We will then play a Lethrai Skystrider, which will give us the effect. Get a Herald song because that's the only thing we got. We will swing with our Beastcaller. And we threw a bunch of nothing away. Okay, pass the turn to our opponent. I'm expecting a harsh rule here, but that's okay. Opponent will... Hopefully we don't get harsh ruled, because if we don't get harsh ruled, we'll be in a pretty good position. Opponent will Crest of Impulse, scout to the bottom. Ooh, I think... Is that the first time they've scouted to the bottom? Must have been a Sigil. Opponent... Oh, I'm sorry. They might have gotten echo on a creature off of the crown. That might be what it was. Opponent plays a... Yep, okay. They echoed a Nesting Avasaur. Opponent plays a Nesting Avasaur. Probably putting a Nesting Avasaur back on top. We're actually okay with that. Opponent gives us the chance. We're going to go ahead and play a Lethrai Skystrider. We will keep the... Devastating Setback's not going to do a lot for us. Let's keep the Grasping at Shadows. We did not get any units in, so let's go ahead and play the Herald Song. Devastating Setback, which we will toss. Play the Feln Banner. And swing with our 2 beasties. Actually, let's go ahead and swing with our Lethrai because we do have an extra Grasping at Shadows. So we'll be able to use that to hopefully... No, opponent declines all blocks. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent gets another Avasaur. Gets another swing at the crown doing something. Opponent plays a Shadow Sigil. I'm expecting maybe a harsh rule here. No, opponent has a Hailstorm. Double Hailstorm? I'm okay with this. It's like a worse version of the words. Yeah, harsh rule. Opponent plays a Nesting Avasaur, the original Nesting Avasaur, puts back one of the Echo Nesting Avasaurs, and passes turn to us. Well then, we are going to, let's see, we can Madness away 1, and that's perfect. We will Madness away the 4/4, we will In Cold Blood the 3/3, and we will simply swing at our opponent. And that is game. So even without having to use the Grasping part of it, we do manage to just kind of value out our opponent with one of the few good elves in the deck. And here we are with game number 3 with DIno Scoop. This is not a keepable hand, so we're going to go ahead and toss it back, see what we can find. This is, I mean, it's what we've got. It's the deck we play, so to say. We're probably going to start out with the Crest so we can scout the top, see what we find. And what we find is a Haunting Scream, which we will keep because we do have one of our best screamable units in our hand. The opponent will play a Crest, scout to the top. We will play a seat. Play a Lethrai Ranger, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws the card they scouted. Then the opponent will play a Time Sigil. Then play a Blind Storyteller. Oh, that is interesting. I like what you are trying to do, opponent, I think. I will swing with the Lethrai Ranger, see if the opponent wants to block. Opponent does choose to block. Excellent. I actually like that because we get to get rid of that before they get value out of it. We'll drop the Shadow Sigil. We'll drop the Direwood Beastcaller because we don't really have a reason to put the Nocturnal Observer out yet. And then we'll pass the turn to the opponent. Opponent, if they happen to have the Permafrost for the Beastcaller, we'll be okay there too. Opponent will Amber Acolyte, pass the turn to us. We get the Herald Song. We will swing in with both creatures because our opponent doesn't have good blocks either way. Opponent will block our 2/2. That's fine with us. I'm sorry, he blocked the 1/1. That's fine with us. Either one is fine with us. We will play the Cobalt Waystone, play the Nocturnal Observer, use the Nocturnal Observer, and discard a Herald Song. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws, opponent nightfalls, loses 1, and opponent plays at a Seat of Impulse. Opponent's on 4. Opponent passes turn. That's very interesting. For our part, we will, let's go ahead and get active with the Lethrai Skystrider. Play the Lethrai Skystrider. Take the In Cold Blood. Swing with the 4/4. Dig with the Observer, finding an Amethyst Waystone. We will toss the Herald Song, and we will play the Amethyst Waystone, keeping it night. Pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent will draw 1, Nightfall 1, go to 17. Opponent will play a Crest of Fury. I'm expecting maybe a heart here. No, never mind. They don't have enough. Okay. Opponent scouts to the top. Opponent strategizes, drawing the card they scouted and another, throwing back something to the bottom. We don't get to see what it is, unfortunately, but that's okay. They have 2 left. What are they going to do with their 2? The answer is opponent. I almost hope they kill our Lethrai Skystrider. Opponent torches our Lethrai Skystrider. Excellent. It's actually very good for us because that lets us dig deeper into the deck. Primal Sigil for us. Let's go ahead and start with the Haunting Scream on the Lethrai Skystrider. Opponent probably has another torch in hand, but that's fine because we're going to get the value out of the Skystrider, which is going to allow us to find the Grasping at Shadows. Excellent. Finds the Scourge. Good for us. We will swing at our opponent. Rawr, get in there. Opponent has to realize what's going to happen here. Play the Primal Sigil. Now, we can't do it this turn. That's the advantage our opponent has. We'll play the Lethrai Ranger, and we'll pass the turn to our opponent and see what they want to do on their turn. But we're going to get to shut down all spells, which is going to be, from our opponent anyways, which is going to be a big deal for us. Heart of the Vault hits the field, kills our Lethrai Ranger. That's expected. We'll go and devour the Lethrai Ranger, because why not? Get the Celestial Omen, get the Devastating Setback. Opponent plays a Herald Song for free, but guess what, opponent? You're not going to get to cast any more spells. Units only for you from here on out. Praxis Banner goes to the yard. Opponent Herald Songs for free again. Even their dinosaurs won't do it. Stirring Sands goes to the yard. You're not going to ever get to cast that, sir. We will go ahead and Grasping at Shadows. Get the Scourge of Frosthome. Play the Crest of Cunning. Keep the Haunting Scream on top. And pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws a card. Opponent swings. We will allow you to hit us. Opponent plays Seed of Impulse. Opponent plays another Heart of the Vault. Yeah, see, we weren't going to take that damage. We're not silly people. Haunting Scream from us. We can actually just win the game here. So we will in cold blood that heart. Haunting Scream for the value. Go grab the Direwood Beastcaller. Swing with everything. And opponent didn't scoop to the dinosaur, but they probably should have. Scourge of Frosthome, helping us out. Here we are with game 4 with DIno Scoop. We haven't had any scoops to the dinosaur yet, but we've only put the dino into play one time. This is an interesting hand. If we get any Sigil, we're in pretty good position. Let's go ahead and keep it and see what happens here. We've got the Devour for digs. We did find one, so let's go ahead and play the Crest of Cunning, see what's on the top of our library. Celestial Omen. I think we don't need that, so we'll go ahead and pass the turn to our opponent. We're a little bit more aggressive right now, I think. Opponent will play Scout. Scout to the bottom. We will... Ooh, excellent. We will play a Shadow Sigil. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws. Opponent plays a Seed of Mystery. Opponent plays a Piercing Grief. Interesting. Opponent passes the turn. We will play an Amethyst Waystone. Play a Direwood Beastcaller. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent will Crest of Cunning. Opponent will Scout to the bottom. And then opponent will Permafrost. Excellent. If we draw a Sigil here, not the Sigil we wanted. So we will play a Crest of Cunning, Scout, see what we find. The answer is a Lethrai Skystrider, which we will keep. We will play at the Ashara, Ruthless Assassin, pass the turn to our opponent. We do not want to give our opponent value yet. Opponent will Wisdom. We get the Lethrai Skystrider. We will... I think what we're going to do is we're going to Devour the Lethrai Skystrider. Draw 2. Excellent. Scream back the Direwood Beastcaller. And the opponent scoops to the fact that they were going to take 8 and we were going to get 2 5/5s. Well, there we go. Sometimes. Here we are back again with game number 5 with DIno Scoop. This has been an interesting series of games, not going quite the way we expected. This is not really a keepable hand, so we'll go ahead and draw another one. This is, it's what we've got. We will start with a Crest of Cunning, probably. Opponent crests, Scouts to the top. Bad News Bears. We will Crest and Scout to the bottom. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent plays a Seat, passes the turn. It came in undepleted, so we know they've got another Sigil in hand. We will play a Banner, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws. Opponent plays the Sigil we knew they had. Opponent plays a Temple Scribe. Not worried about that one. We get an Amethyst Waystone. We will... I think we'll play the Cobalt Waystone. I think we'll then play the Nocturnal Observer, and we will use said Observer to find another Amethyst Waystone, which we will keep, and we'll throw out the Feln banner. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws Night Falls. Opponent plays a Seed of Vengeance, depleted, so we know they didn't have one. Opponent Vera's favor, so now we know they have one. Opponent swings for 1. Interesting choice from the opponent. I wonder if this is... excellent. Okay, so for our turn, we will Feln Banner. We will use our Observer. Found a Grasping at Shadows. We will toss out a... Let's get rid of Amethyst Waystone. Play an Elf. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent will... draw, obviously. Opponent will play a Mask of Torment. Okay, that's what I expected. So we are going to be expecting a words. We're expecting a Stronghold Stronghold to come down at some point. Stronghold Visage. We will go ahead and play the Amethyst Waystone. We will use our Observer. Finding a Madness. Okay, that's going to be actually super useful for us. So we will dump a Grasping at Shadows, swing with the Elf, see what our opponent does. Opponent takes it. Interesting. Pass turn to our opponent, so they must have removal for the 4/4. Opponent will play a... I'm expecting a Stronghold Visage to come down at some point here. At this point, we don't really need any more sigils, so any sigils we get, we'll try to throw out to the Observer, unless they're Amethyst. Okay, opponent drops a Stone Scar Alchemist. Interesting. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Hopefully they won't have a way to kill it when we Madness it, because that will give us super value on our turn. Sorry about that, guys. No blocks, obviously. Boop. Start the turn. Drawing a Lethrai Skystrider. Ooh, and a Snowcrush Animist. So we're going to go ahead and start our turn by using the Nocturnal Observer. Tossing a Snowcrush Animist. We're going to go ahead and Madness away the 2/1. See if our opponent has removal for it. They did not. We will swing, see what our opponent does. They take the damage. Devour. They might have a counter spell here. Well, what counter would they have? And we'll draw 2 cards. Getting the Stone Powder Alchemist back. Oh, that is rough, opponent. I am sorry about that. And we will end the turn. That is super rough. Aeon the Abductor. Okay, that is perfectly fine with us. Katra the Devoted drops. Oh, that's going to be bad. Stone Powder Alchemist drops. Katra is going to be a little bit of a problem for us. Not a huge one, but a little bit of a problem for us. And the Abductor swings in. I think we go ahead and take the 4. Yeah, we'll take the 4. Opponent plays an Amber Waystone. So how are we going to do this? So it's going to kill this off. I think we just have to go for that play this turn. So Grasping at Shadows, the Stonecrush Animist. Swing at the opponent. Pass the turn. We now have at least a unit that can stop that. We're going to need to dig for a Madness. If we find a Madness, we'll be in an okay state, I think. Opponent plays another Katra. Opponent plays a Lunar Magus. Turns on the Knight for us. That's good. We get a Lethrai Ranger. We find a Cobalt Waystone. Let's go ahead and dig. Find another Cobalt Waystone. We'll toss out a Cobalt Waystone. We can... So if we in Cold Blood the Lunar Magus, that's not a bad proposition here. Interesting stuff. I think we will play the Cobalt Waystone. In Cold Blood the Lunar Magus. Does the opponent have Protect? They've got another Aeon, obviously. Swing with both of our guys. Aeon's gonna drop. Block something. Oh no, Banish. Okay, Banish is fine. Okay, and then I think we drop the Lethrai Ranger. Pass the turn to our opponent. We're not in a super good position here. Because the opponent's going to gain 9. We can double block this one, which we're going to go ahead and do. Great Parliament. Oh, that's unexpected. Okay, Well, I think we just lose this one, and there's not a lot we can do about that. Let's see. Haunting. Okay, game number 6. Let's see if we can keep up some momentum. This hand is actually pretty keepable. We do need to draw a Primal. No, never mind. It's not super keepable. We need to draw the Primal. We need it in 3 turns. This one is much better. So, we can play just about everything here. I like it. Herald's Song is nice. It'll help us dig. We're going to start with a Shadow Sigil. Our opponent starts with a Feln banner. Uh-oh, is this the copy pasta? We'll play a Shadow Sigil. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent will... play a Seat. They have another Sigil in hand, obviously. We will play a Amethyst Waystone. We will play a Lethrai Ranger. Pass the turn to our opponent. Expecting this to die to an Annihilate. It did not. Opponent draws. Okay. Opponent plays a Shadow Sigil. That's one they drew, interestingly enough. Opponent Hailstorms for 1-for-1 trade. Interesting. We're going to go ahead and play out a Shadow Sigil. Play out an Ashara. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent will... draw, then make more bad trades. I'll take bad trades. Primal Sigil. Rain of Frogs. Interesting card. Not the copy pasta deck. It's the Rain of Frogs version. Gets rid of our Lethrai. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a thing to do. Swing with our Ashara. Play the Frog, because why not? Play the Direwood Beastcaller. Go ahead and play the Amethyst Waystone. Pass the turn to our opponent. I mean, clearly we're doing something with it if we have it in the deck. I guess our opponent just doesn't know what they're doing with it, so they got rid of that. I appreciate this. Opponent, we didn't have many good targets, so I guess that kind of works out. Opponent might have another Hailstorm. Opponent plays a Banner. Depleted, obviously. In Cold Bloods, our Beastcaller. Okay. I mean, I can't really say much about what's going on. We will play a Nocturnal Observer. Use a Nocturnal Observer. Discard a Herald Song. Swing for 8, killing a frog. Opponent goes to 14, pass the turn. Opponent draws 2, Nightfalls, goes to 13. Opponent plays a Seat of Cunning. Opponent plays a Wisdom of the Elders, draws 2 more. Opponent plays a Lightning Storm, followed by what? Unsure on that play. Okay, we will Herald Song, hopefully finding a... We do not. We found a Devastating Setback. We'll discard a Herald Song. We'll go ahead and use the Observer. We did not find it again. So now we'll go ahead and discard another Herald Song. We'll scout with the Crest of Cunning. Amethyst Waystone. Sure, we'll keep that. Then we'll swing in with our Ashara. Maybe the opponent thought this was a Hailstorm. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent's on 10. Opponent draws. Opponent plays a Primal Sigil. Opponent passes the turn back. Okay. We will Devastating Setback our opponent. See what's in their hand. Tempest, Vera, Dark Return. Let's go and get rid of the Tempest. Play the Amethyst Waystone. Try to dig for the Scream. We found a Lethrai Ranger. That's not bad. Let's go ahead and get rid of one of our Celestial Omens. Play the Lethrai Ranger. Swing for 3. Opponent goes to 7. Opponent goes to 6. Opponent draws an extra card. They didn't have a lot in their hand. They had a Vera's, a Sigil, and a... I'm sorry, they had... Okay, yeah, there we go. So we knew 2 of their cards, and the opponent just packed it in. Okay. Okay, everybody, so that was DIno Scoop. We got 6 games in. We went 5-1 with the deck, which was a really good rating, better than I expected. Our one loss was actually a reasonable back and forth where we just kind of couldn't get traction against our opponent. So good job there. It was an interesting, aggressive combo mix of a Tormentor deck and a Katra deck. So that was definitely interesting to see. For our part, we did get 1 scoop, but not to the Scourge or Frosthome. A lot of the deck actually ended up just being kind of the value plays of bringing back Direwood Beastcallers with Haunting Screams, proving that once again, Direwood Beastcaller Haunting Scream is a really powerful combo. But we did manage to dig quite deep with our Lethrai Skystriders, showing that they were something to be worried about. And apparently at least one of our opponents was so worried about them that they got rid of value in order to turn our 1 Lethrai Skystrider into a frog, as opposed to our 2 Celestial Omens or our 2 words for me, Herald songs. So we ended up getting a lot of value out of that one, and just kind of nickeling and diming our opponent down using Ashara attacks while digging with our Nocturnal Observer. So I don't think there was a single card in here that was bad. Devastating Setback didn't really show itself off very well, mostly because one of the games we drew it in, we just didn't need it, because it wasn't going to do anything to our opponent's board, and we had already shut down their spells with a Scourge. And then we didn't face any of the go wide decks where it ends up just absolutely destroying our opponent. We got to show off kind of the Madness Devour combo a little bit. We didn't get to do Madness Ashara, but we did get to show Ashara with a frog, kind of the damage it can do. And we had one opponent scoop to us, Haunting Screaming back a Direwood Beastcaller with an Ashara in play, swinging in for 8, getting 2 5/5 Beast, just all the extra value you can get out of this deck. So as you can see, you don't need to recur back the big threats. They're just kind of in there for the late game, but getting back the little threats is often enough to just kind of nickel and dime your opponent out and really set them on the back foot. So this was DIno Scoop, and like I said, with most of the decks we've built, there's obviously a lot of wiggle room in the deck. You can change up which elves you're running, how many elves, obviously change up the removal package. Maybe you don't like the Haunting Screams and you want to run something different. Maybe you want to run Vera's in here instead of, say, the Snowcrush Animist or the Scourge, and take out the Dino part of DIno Scoop and maybe run Vera for some extra value. Just, there's a lot of things that can be done to this. You can try to shoehorn Gorgons in. I didn't want to, just because the necessity of having elves for the Lethrai Skystrider. And maybe you want to try putting in a Champion of Cunning. Maybe you run Champion of Cunning, Vera with Lethrai Skystrider, and try to get your value that way. I mean, there's a lot of potential options here, and just kind of see how you want to build the deck, guys. Hopefully in the future we'll see some much better elves drop that are better early drops, or maybe just better mid-game. Some things that really kind of help out the Lethrai Skystrider and really make use of its ability a little bit more. But with that, guys, thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.